Welcome to my perspective and comments. And folks, I guess the COVID tyranny 2.0 might be upon us, or the attempt to bring back masks, mandates, and lockdowns if they can get away with it. I don't think it's going to work right now, but there are communities right now that have been issuing mandates to mask up in hospital settings, and the murmurs now are trying to maybe spread that out to involving our schools also. So get ready. I think there's enough voices, and people have gone through 3+ years, and the science or real science has come out that has debunked many of this the hysteria, that you've got to mask up. But wait a minute, the science isn't pointing to that. In fact, study after study once again is showing that they aren't effective. But yet and still, we have the potential mandates that potentially are looming. But as President Trump this week had a video and basically said, don't comply. We will not comply to lockdowns and mask mandates. And once again, if they had from the get-go 3+ years ago said, look, we're recommending that you do this, that, or the other. Recommend, not mandate. And again, freedom goes out the window, and they follow these so-called science. And I think through many throughout this last 3+ years of what we saw, it wasn't medical science. It was political science to see what sheep could they get the world to comply to their edicts and to bow their head to tyranny. And we're seeing another attempt at how far they can go to put their boot on the freedoms of Americans and the free West. So we're seeing that this ugly COVID head tyranny trying to peek its head back up, but somebody needs to take a hammer and shut it down. J.D. Vance, for instance, this past week has brought some legislation called the Freedom to Breathe Act. Now, great move. There needs to be more of this happening. This was stamped down. Ed Markey in Massachusetts, representative, put a kibosh on that. But again, that's what we need. We need leaders on the Republican side to say no more. Enough is enough. We're not going down this road again. And we need to nip it in the bud right now so it does not take root. This cancer of, mask up and mandates, and you'll get another series of 20 jabs that is proving out not to be safe and effective. There needs to be no, we're not going down this road again. I want to talk a bit about what we've been seeing here on the Hunter Biden front. And again, as I had mentioned before, are they trying to sweep this under the rug? They've got this special counsel, David Weiss, and again, he was in the background negotiating this whole behind the scenes when it came to this first plea agreement. And what did they end up doing? They make him now, he's a special counsel, and he's talking about, well, maybe that we're about to indict. It sure sounds like we're playing rope-a-dope, and he's trying to run out the clock. There's a lot more crimes that Hunter could have been charged, but the time expired. The time ran out on when they could bring the charges, and it could very well be that Weiss has to the end of this month in September to indict. And if he doesn't, oh well, we ran out of time. And if that's the game that's being played, that's sick. And it's not justice, and we are once again seeing Merrick Garland's DOJ under Biden. And as I had mentioned before, Merrick Garland is dirty, and talking about upholding the law, that's not what he's doing. And a prime example is this Weiss. Now we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how soon he indicts Hunter Biden on that gun charge that's out there. So again, we'll see what happens there with David, Special Counsel David Weiss. Hawaii, let's not forget what took place there and the unanswered questions of the death toll. They stopped counting, I think, at 115, but there are many that are missing, and there doesn't seem to be an effort to really get to the bottom of this, and where did all these other people go? And that's out there. What happened in Hawaii, and is there enough light being shed to take a look at what happened there? And the Maui area, and that historic seaside community that was devastated there. So we'll see if there's any more inquiry and to try to get to the bottom of that. Wall Street Journal this week had a poll out, and 60% majority of registered voters indicate in that poll, Wall Street Journal poll, that they do not consider Biden mentally up to the task and of being president. Nearly 3/3 of respondents, 73%, said they think Biden is too old to run for president. A much higher response than they had given Trump, who is 77 years old, and what's Biden's pushing 80, 82, and so again, we're seeing the rumblings right now from his own party saying, he's struggling here. And again, we've been hearing a lot about this guy, Biden, so-called president, running around the world talking about Biden economics. And if that isn't the biggest joke going, that somehow his economic plan, or whoever came up with this inflation buster, and that's what it's doing. Inflation is sky high. And the American people know what's going on. Just look at, you go to the store, grocery store every week and find out, wait a minute, where'd all my money go for a few items? So we Americans know what's going on, and I think right now the realization that this guy over the last 3+ years is a failure, and he's hurting our nation, hurting our economy, and endangering getting us into a world war. So we'll be talking more regarding the failures of Joe Biden and having the people stand up and say, enough of this guy. We see where our nation and our economy and where the nation is slipping away under this so-called leader. And there are people even on the left that are saying, wait a minute, we can't go another 4 years under this guy. What I'd like to do right now is we've got a video clip that will kind of summarize what I've just talked about and shared with you right now regarding the state of our nation and what's been going on around here and abroad. And it's brought to you by Steve Deace's show with Aaron McIntyre, the producer, who brings a daily what happened while we what happened while we were away. And we're going to be taking a look at that. This was produced a few days ago, discussing and bringing a summary of what happened basically this week. So here, take a look.
It's Aaron's rundown of what happened while we were away.
What happened while we were away brought to you by Dialing It Up. The DeSantis campaign unleashed this ad yesterday, touting the governor's leadership through COVID.
The world lost its mind when common sense suddenly became an uncommon virtue.
Indoor and outdoor venues should be closed.
You know what our biggest enemy is in America? Our fellow Americans.
Now is the time to do what you're told. You got to do something draconian.
Florida was a refuge of sanity. Mandates, lockdowns, fines, we're just not doing that. They are not effective. Let me tell you that right now. I don't think government has a right to put these people out of work.
If the rest of the country had done everything that Ron DeSantis said and did in Florida, we'd be in a much better place.
As your president, I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody like Fauci and coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
In addition to that ad, DeSantis went on Dave Rubin's show and had words for Donald Trump.
So it's obviously bogus. I mean, half the country visited Florida over COVID, and you're trying to say California, New York, and Illinois handled it better? Give me a break. Like, the more he does that, I think it helps me, because I kind of wish like he had broader reach with some of his social media, because I think just putting that stuff out there, I think it hurts his credibility, and especially because his entire family moved to Florida under my governorship.
This morning, DeSantis doubled down.
For months, May of 2020, summer of 2020, fall of 2020, even January of 2021, I was getting hit by the White House task force under Trump. This wasn't even Biden. This was Trump. They were sending us missives to Florida saying impose a mask mandate and close bars and restaurants and businesses. And that's what they were pushing.
Meanwhile, Trump was interviewed by Hugh Hewitt yesterday and claimed yet again he was unable to fire Anthony Fauci.
The biggest knock on your presidency is you kept Dr. Fauci. Why did you keep Dr. Fauci?
No. Dr. Fauci was there. First of all, you're not allowed. He civil serves, and you're not allowed to fire him. But I forget that, because I don't necessarily go by everything. But Dr. Fauci would tell me things, and I wouldn't do them in many cases.
In Colorado, voters there are suing on 14th Amendment grounds to take Trump off the primary ballot in that state. They say he engaged in sedition and is therefore not suited to hold office. In Texas, a Reagan-appointed federal judge, yes, there are still some of those around, has ordered the Texas state government to remove and move the barriers it placed in the Rio Grande to the riverbank on the Texas side of the river. The state was also ordered not to put up any additional structures on the river until the final outcome of the lawsuit filed by the Department of Justice to remove those barriers. Texas says it'll appeal this most recent ruling. In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams says illegal immigration is going to destroy his city.
We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Hats off to Georgia's state attorney general, who's using the same RICO statute just used against Donald Trump and some of his supporters to indict 61 Antifa types in and around Atlanta on charges they conspired to commit violence and other criminal activity in order to stop the building of a police training facility in Atlanta. And now's the part of the montage where the Quaaludes kick in.
First of all, let me say that our president has been an extraordinary leader. A substantial amount of time we spend together is in the Oval Office, where I see how his ability to understand issues and weave through complex issues in a way that no one else can to make smart and important decisions.
And finally, this.
Oh, my apologies. Mandates are about to be reinstated, so I was wearing my mask to get ahead of the curve. I love my mask, especially in an election year, because it's a simple yet effective way to display my allegiance to the regime. Am I concerned that an analysis of top scientific studies was conducted this year and concluded that mask mandates did nothing to stop the spread of COVID-19? Nope. Am I concerned that mandatory masks once led to mandatory vaccines, which led to an epidemic of heart conditions in the otherwise young and healthy? No. Am I concerned that COVID stimulus checks and manufactured supply shortages have created a steep loss in purchasing power, making it next to impossible to afford basic necessities? Not even a little bit. Am I concerned that this state of hyperinflation will eventually lead to the perceived need for a government-backed universal basic income that will enslave us to the state in inconceivable ways? Not until it affects me directly. And why am I not concerned, you ask? I'm not concerned because I decided a long time ago that sticking to a bad course of action is much easier than admitting I was wrong. And lastly, I prefer to put on my mask, and one day when my children ask, I'll tell them I washed my hands clean, not of COVID-19, but of any and all culpability for handing the world over to commies.
And that's what happened while we were away.